when we last left it, we got very vague statements from him. But at this coming week, we heard that he kind of admitted to wrongdoing. He said, "Yes, I've been inappropriately texting someone that was young." So we got that. But then the latest put another spin on it because we saw that the Twitch person that accused them actually might have they tried to trap him. So there was like a Twitch employee posing as this underage person to trap Dr. Disrespect. And Twitch has known about this for like 7 years, I think it is. It's been years that they've known about this. And despite that, they've still pushed his content and they still promoted him. So it's just a very weird story. It seems like both sides did have some wrongdoing. Because like even if you believe that it was just a Twitch employee, he's still, you know, doing
Took the bait.
text to he took the bait. So
The bait. I didn't see
so
that other thing about the
Mm-mm.
what you recalled it.
the
Baiting.
entrapment, yeah.
Entrapment.
So
Interesting.
yeah, so the story just keeps getting weirder and weirder. So yeah, not very good. They yeah, understandably they went after doctors, docs, endorsements and stuff like that. Companies pulled out, which you can understand. The
Yeah, especially if you're like we talked about last time. I was like, I just want to know when the actual truth or evidence comes out of like his side. And then he came in and fully admitted it. So yeah, 100%. I'm like, yeah, that's like we were talking in the chat about how Nick Merckx and Tim the Tatman both were like, yeah, that's a line we aren't comfortable with people crossing. That is unacceptable, I think is what Tim said. And it's like, yeah, like I agree now that we are at this point that yes, you need to drop him and
yeah,
it's unfortunate. I was actually having a big conversation about this with Alex just before here because I've just been thinking a lot about that kind of like when you put people on these pedestals, not in the slightest like defending anything he did, but it's like it's interesting how many people point fingers. I'm like, that is such an interesting, especially because he's cheated on his wife before, so he clearly has an issue with this sort of like with lust or whatever, or sexuality or sex addiction. I don't know what you would want to call it. I don't want to put labels on it. Um, and it's like putting him on that pedestal like that, which a lot of people do. With people all sorts of in power and in any aspect. And it's like it's such a it's an interesting thing of like at what point are you like, hey, you like see like at what point do you bring a point the idea of like, hey, he should seek help? Like instead of just like damning it, like, hey, this is obviously like a serious thing he struggles with, and I don't know. It's a weird situation. 100% don't condone it in the slightest, and 100% won't follow him anymore or watch his content. Or I've never watched. I would tune into his streams, but I actually found his stop it, Eddie. His he got a little too angry in his streams, and I didn't find it that entertaining. So he wasn't one I watched a lot. I watch his YouTube videos because editors are great, but it's unfortunate. It's fortunate that things like that happen and kind of breaks communities. Like I do watch Doc and Tim a lot, and that kind of like tears them apart. And like Nick had a very good post day after his initial thing of saying, "Hey, yeah, we're going to cut ties because that's unacceptable." His discussion the next day was actually very, very good. He kind of opened up the chat, everyone, haters and not, whatever. He just kind of answered questions for a good 30 or 40 minutes. So it was very insightful, but yeah, sucks. Sucks people do that.
yeah, and there's been blowback on them as well because they're like, "Oh, just cancel those guys too," and it's like, "What? They didn't do
Yeah,
anything."
it's
But
like they don't do it, and they're both like, yeah. Now that we've like they both said before, like not going to make any decisions until we see what actually is going on. They saw what actually going on, and immediately both of them put on Twitter videos of yeah, this sucks and it hurts and we're done. So
yep, and the Twitch stuff is like Twitch
yeah,
has
that's
been
wild.
shady in the
That's what
past, and they're
They're a
shady
shady
now.
company.
Yeah,
that's what Nick was actually bringing that up because someone was like, yeah, I kind of want to see like the actual like all the messages and all this stuff because there's something definitely more to this. Like why initially? Because apparently this happened in 2017. The
hmm
ban was in 2020. but you didn't know about it until now. It's like, why hide that information? There's no reason for Twitch to hide the information of why he was banned unless there's something else weird going on. Seemingly, I mean, I don't. We'll see.
Yep.
But interesting stuff.
I want to add something real quick. I don't have much to say about the actual story. I never watched his stuff or followed him at all. And it does suck to see someone that's happening, and like it does suck to see like one of your favorite content creators do something like that. It feels like a betrayal and everything. What was kind of disturbing to me this time was seeing comments and like his supporters in the comments is like, because I didn't hear this newest stuff, but like when it was apparently just about him texting what seemed to be a 17-year-old, they're like, oh, she was 17, it's fine, it's like a year away. I was like, and then there's a lot of people just defending that, and so it kind of breeds this like, oh, kind of understanding. I know it's only a year away from like legal age, but still it's
But yeah, it just keeps pushing it
even,
back if you
yeah,
allow that.
He's a married man with a daughter. It's wrong.
Yeah.
Like minor is wrong 100%. Also, married man with a daughter is still 100% wrong if she's 18 the
also
next year.
you're still a kid when you're like 21. You're
Yeah,
not
that's true.
mature enough for
And he's
a lot of
40
things.
something. Like,
Yeah.
it's
So I just saw, I thought
icky.
this is the first time I saw like the comment section, and it was
Mm.
kind of disturbing to see all that like defense.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of other commenters being like, dude, that's kind of creepy.
Man,
You should probably,
it's such a mixing pool of people who are like have that like false sense of loyalty to a person they've followed for so long, and they have that understanding of like, because I don't think Dr. Disrespect is like a genuinely bad guy. I assume he struggles with this. He obviously struggles with this. He cheated on his wife, and it's like he needs to be aware enough to not put him into situations to fall to temptation. Like that is 100% wrong, and like, and so yeah, that kind of like the mixing pot of the people on. I don't even know where I'm going with this. Because you were talking about the comments. Yeah, it just sucks in that situation. Comments always suck, and it's like where I just want reasonable discussion to happen, but there's just fewer and far between lately, and it's frustrating me. The big time frustrating me actually.
Mm.
And you got to remember, like, it's totally a persona. We don't really know the
Yeah,
guy.
that's true too. It's
He's
like he's a
total
character.
act. Yeah.
Yeah, like you don't really actually. I mean, there are points where like I mean, all streamers do this, so it could just be a facade. But if someone comes to him with a problem, then I feel like the Doctor Disrespect was good about kind of stopping. Like if someone said, "Hey, my mom just died. This just happened to me." Blah blah blah. He was from the clips that I've seen and the stuff that I've seen. He was very good about kind of stopping and having a real moment with that. Whether it's genuine or not, who the heck knows? But so people, and that's what kind of I was talking about earlier. Putting people on pedestals and getting this attachment to people you don't know is such a. I was thinking about that a lot this past week and kind of just digesting all this that has happened. It's just like Alex and I have talked about how we've tried to pull ourselves away from that because we had for a long time followed a group called Kind of Funny, and we kind of got to that point where we would go to RTX and Alex was around. He's like, this just kind of feels weird because everyone's here and you're just idolizing these people a little too much. You can enjoy content 100%, but it's just you got to understand that line, the division between who they are and who you are. And a lot of people, I mean, I don't think he and I were ever in this boat, but people like I remember there's a woman by the name of Barbara Dunkelman, who used to work at Rooster Teeth, and she told a story about how the guy in line was waiting to go, take a picture or whatever. He went up immediately and picked her up in a big hug and swung her around. And it just kind of was a stop moment. Like, you need to realize the boundary of I don't know you. Like you have this idea in the back of your mind, like we're friends, like we share a lot. Like she had a podcast called Always Open. It's like this kind of back and forth where you feel close to people, you feel attachment to these people, but they don't know you and you don't really know them, is the
Yeah.
truth of it. And so situations like Jared was bringing up, these people defending him, like they don't really know Doc. Like it's hard to like, especially if you've been through, like we talked about with the bear, like these experiences that these characters are going through, and then this in real life, you kind of go through things. Or like a lot of streamers or people will be like, "Hey, watching your streams helped me through this difficult time," or listening to your music helped me through this difficult time. Like, and they grow that false attachment. I mean, not so false, but because you can't have a relationship with the content or a creator or anything like that. But you just have to. It's a weird line. Alex and I have kind of tried to separate ourselves from, even like with Colin, who left Kind of Funny, and Alex talking today. He's like, I still watch like 90% of Colin's stuff, but I have to remember that they are just providing this entertainment and information, and that pseudo, not even relationship, I want to say, but I don't that joint community in a sense.
Mhm.
And it's just it's an interesting thing that I've been thinking about a lot lately, because I mean it's even like in things, I'm going to take a little dark turn for a second, but you think about like why it's such a stereotype that, like, pastor or something like that, like it's like, oh, the little kids, it's like the issue there. It's like when you put these people on pedestals so high, and then you give them that opportunity, or you let them, alone, like with Dr. Respect in a chat room, alone with someone talking, like that's, it's just a dangerous place to be, because you feed this ego to them so much of like what you see. And like I said, you just put them on that pedestal, and then it'd be difficult in that situation to not feel that kind of ego growing. Like I couldn't imagine having that many people adoring me, and that many people defending me, like Jared was pointing out, like false defense, like saying, oh, he didn't do anything wrong, he did something wrong, he admitted he did something wrong, he said
Yeah.
he effed up in his tweet. It's like that's it's a weird murky situation that like Twitch, especially in that kind of streaming culture, exemplifies that. But it's existed forever, like I was saying. But I don't know, it's been a lot on my mind lately, and I haven't quite untangled it all. But I don't know,
It
did
is.
you guys,
It's
what do you guys
interesting
think about that?
seeing. It's interesting seeing this age of internet and this whole new like psychology of the parasocial
Hmm.
relationship
Yeah.
between creators and the fans. You see a lot of like Super Eye Patch Wolf deals with it a lot because he has a lot of fans that just come up to him and he's like, they're like, "Hey, John," and he's like, "This is creepy. I don't like this." Like it's
Interesting.
a weird relationship for them too because yeah, they don't know you. You're not that actually close. Yeah, he makes content for you and he enjoys like kind of the social relationship or kind of the community he's built up. But at the end of the day, you're not friends. You're just someone who's consuming their content. So it's definitely interesting and kind of scary seeing this whole new psychology to people in this relationship with content creators.
There's
Yeah.
also something like, okay, so I'm not defending people who like over are presumed to be friends with a content creator,
Hmm.
but there is something to be said about someone who absorbs all of your content day in and day out, especially if they've been doing YouTube for like a long time, and they think that they know you, and especially if they're super socially like awkward, to have somebody speak to them through YouTube is a way of like comfort for them. And
Yeah.
so when they see somebody out in the open, they automatically assume that you're going to be speaking to them. And again, I'm not defending the people who like overshare that kind of thing, but it's almost like it's social conditioning for people to assume that the content creator wants to talk to them because they
Mhm.
Yeah.
talk to them all the time through YouTube. I mean, that's just, you click on a button and you have somebody talking to you. That's just how it is.
And you
Yeah,
do
it
hear a
does.
lot. Oh, go ahead.
But I was gonna say, like, these streamers are built on building a community, and a lot of these people, like on YouTube, no, a lot of people are lonely, and a lot of people don't have families, so they rely on this community to kind of, you know, substitute for the stuff they're missing. So it is kind of shocking when you get into those situations where it could be very awkward.
Yeah.
And people just, you know, it's like they built this family, and if you disrespect it or anything, of course they're gonna come to your aid, even if we can, even like Michael said, he admitted it was wrong. You're still gonna have people that are gonna be on his side just because
Hmm.
they feel so close to him and it's like so close to the content and stuff.
It's such a complicated thing though, because a lot of the YouTubers aren't like doing this out of malicious intent, just want the money of these people or just want the views of these
Hmm.
people. Like when the people do open up and like, oh man, your content really saved me at some points, they're genuinely like, oh, that means a lot to me.
Yeah.
I'm glad this could help. So it's complicated. You can't just be like, oh, they're just YouTubers. They don't care about
Yeah.
you. But it's like Michael said, it is a persona. Like John said, that is not John. Like he is not that person on the video. He is pretty different from that guy. Like he's in real life, he is very like reserved and very like antisocial and stuff like that. So and he's not like outgoing in his videos, but he still says that is a persona that isn't 100% me. And there are a lot of content creators who are like, we aren't friends. I do appreciate you're here and stuff like that. They're always upfront with that. Like I know the needle drops like that. Um he doesn't like lead people on like, oh, we're friends. He's like, I make content for you and I enjoy that. I enjoy my community and stuff like that. I think Papa Meat's like that as well. But it is good to see that there are some, I guess, responsible, I guess, content creators that know how to like separate they don't like lead people on and
Yeah.
make them think that they're best friends or something like that.
Yeah, because that's a difficult line because we talked about the Doc being a persona. He was like this overly arrogant character. It's like all about him and shining everything on him. And I mean, that's obviously got to go to his head at some point. Like you get so stuck being in that position for 8 hours a day or however much he streamed. I mean, he was only streaming 3 days a week before he has backed out for now. But it's interesting to draw it back to the bear. It's actually pretty funny because Olivia Colman is one of those people that she was on a podcast that David Tennant did during COVID, and she talked about how much she hates fame. Like she hates all of it. She's like, I just want to do my work. I just want to act and do this performance, and then I don't want to see any. I don't want any connection to it. It's so it's like that kind of like different opposite side of it that you were saying, where they're like, hey, we're not friends. Like she appreciates the compliments and everything like that, but she's like, I don't want that spotlight. I don't want to be. But then, of course, she has gotten so big after, because that was 2020, and then she's done
Yeah,
so many
Yeah.
enormous things since. Because first thing I saw her then was Doctor Who with Matt Smith.